Namaskar. According to reports, 6 people died when army opened fire on a civilian pickup truck carrying coal miners, mistaking them to be insurgents. Later on, there was a clash between the villagers and the army, wherein 7 more people died, including one army officer. Now that's day before yesterday's news. Yesterday, the Home Minister in the Parliament made a statement that he will be setting up a special investigating team to investigate into this matter and will ensure that the investigative team gives him a report in a month's time. In the meantime, in Tizit police station, a suo motu FIR was registered by the officer, wherein they said that the intention of the security forces was to murder and injure civilians. This was the FIR that was filed. Let's discuss this in more detail. Let's get right into the show. So the FIR in Tizit police station, suo motu FIR raised by the officers there, said that the intention of the security forces was to murder and injure civilian. There is a lot of anger in the locals against army. Now, is the anger justified yet? I mean, people died, army men shot them, they feel bad, the people are angry. Of course, it's justified. But come to think of it, can we purely blame it on army? Well, the answer is not really. It should be blamed on policymakers who put the army there, who put AFSPA there, where army was there since 1958, like I said. And the reason I am doing this editorial again is to get more clarity to what I said yesterday. That's why I am doing this editorial today, once again. The point that I am trying to make, and which I made yesterday, is that other than putting army and especially putting them for such a long duration, we have something called as police force, and that police force should be used in local when there is internal insurgency, when there is internal problems, like we use it for Naxalism, right? We use it against Naxalites. That's the way it should be done. And I want to dwell more on the reason why I say this. You see, when an army regiment is sent to a particular state to control insurgency, the regiment does their job of ensuring that the insurgency, especially in a place, especially in when there is AFSPA, they ensure that they are empowered to ensure that insurgency is either stopped or finished. When I say finished, they have the rights. I told you, I have yesterday's editorial, I have explained to you a broad definition of what AFSPA is. We'll hear it once again. According to part of the definition of AFSPA, any commissioned officer, warrant officer, non-commissioned officer, or any other person of equivalent rank in the armed force may, in a disturbed area, according to definition, disturbed area means any area which is for the time being declared by notification under section 3 to be disturbed area. So that is the definition of disturbed area. So coming back, in a disturbed area, if he is of the opinion that it is necessary to do for the maintenance of public order, after giving such due warning as he may consider necessary, fire upon or otherwise use force even to causing of death against any person who is acting in contravention of any law or order for the time being in force in the disturbed area, prohibiting the assembly of 5 or more persons or carrying of weapons or anything capable of being used as weapons or as firearms, ammunition or explosive substance. This is the definition. This is broadly, a part of the definition of what the Armed Forces Special Power Act. So he has the right to to even kill if he feels that the insurgents will be a danger to the community. That's what his job is. That's what he is told. The reason I say that police is a better bet to control local insurgents is because police works with the community. You see, when a police is transferred to a particular state, for instance, a Tamil Nadu officer is transferred to Maharashtra, or he is a Maharashtra cadre IPS officer. When he is posted in Maharashtra, the first thing that officer needs to do is to learn Marathi. You know why he learns Marathi? He learns Marathi so that he can understand the culture of Maharashtra. When he understands the culture of Maharashtra, he becomes one with the community, he becomes one with the people of Maharashtra, because language helps you understand culture better. So there is a huge process of integration which happens in the police force, which does not happen in the army. An army man, when he is posted, he is posted to a regiment. If it is a Punjabi regiment and he is a Malayali, for instance, he learns Punjabi so that he can interact with his fellow officers and men. To that extent, yes, but if he is transferred, he is put into Assam, it is not that he goes and learns Assami there, nor their culture. So what really happens is there is always a gap between the community and the army officer and the army men. They are not part of the community. They are always away from the community. So they go there and do their jobs. They go there and do their jobs. Their job, if it is to stop insurgency, they stop insurgency. Whatever it takes to do it, they stop insurgency. But is that good for the nation? That's what we need to figure out, other than blaming the army officers or army men. You see, that's what we need to figure out. While we all may be angry, maybe, there are passions running, there is anger running, but you need to think. The army men there, they were doing their jobs. They had no personal animosity. But the problem is the policy that got them there, the policy that made them sit there since 1958. That's the problem. Point number 2, the police works within the gambit of CRPC. He or she works well within the gambit of CRPC. You see, he or she will not take any steps which is against the CRPC more often than not. At least that's what he or she is supposed to do. I mean, let's put it that way. So they work within the gambit of CRPC. So what really happens is shooting a person and all is something that is way beyond a normal officer's power under normal circumstances. Shooting and all is something that happens very rarely. Taking life is something that happens rarely. Please don't go by the encounter stories that you see in films. These are things that happens very rarely. All officers don't go around shooting people. So the fact is, a police handles a situation, internal insurgencies, our own people under the gambit of CRPC. Whereas in an AFSPA kind of situation, the army has tremendous powers, and they are being told to control insurgency. So imagine the powers that they have and the fact that they have to control, they use their powers. And at times, such incidents takes place. Now, this is what I have been trying to say yesterday. This is what I continue to say today. That it is the policymakers since 1958. It's the policymakers that should be held responsible for what happened. More than the army, more than anybody else. Since 1958, you have been putting AFSPA there. It is the policymakers that they should rethink, they should introspect and figure out why couldn't they control the insurgency? What did they do wrong that the insurgency was still not controlled? It should be the policymakers that should be questioning. There should be an investigation on the policies, what happened. I'm not talking about any individual. But the point is, these policymakers, why these policies from 1958 is not fructified. Nothing has happened. The situation has been the way it is. One needs to introspect why. We are not talking about that. We are talking about SIT, and we are talking about FIR, and we are talking about that, and we are talking about this. For once, we need to figure out, why are we not able to convince our own people? And this is true to Nagaland, this is true to Kashmir. Why are we not able to convince our own people? Why are we not able to get our own people into mainstream as part of our country? Now, that's the question that needs to be asked, and that's the point I wanted to make through this editorial. Like I say, log on to our website, subscribe to our channel. Choose your packages, but do subscribe to our channel. And till I see you next time, namaskar.